Welcome to Thomistic Womanhood. In today's video, we are going to talk about an obscure principle that was not discovered recently, but they think it was, and how that principle affects your life. We're going to talk about the Dunning-Kruger effect, or why the ugly guy you gave a chance now is a jerk to you. So stay tuned. Welcome to Thomistic Womanhood. Happy Thomistic Tuesday, or whenever you're watching this. In today's video, we're going to talk about something called the Dunning-Kruger effect, and I'm going to relate that back to dating. This is probably going to be a short video, and it's actually a remake of one. My refrigerator went nuts, and you couldn't hear the audio that great, so we're remaking this. And so basically, have you ever had it happen where you dated a guy that maybe wasn't really quite what you wanted? You know, maybe he had a bit of a bad record, maybe he didn't have a job. I'm saying the ugly guy, which is probably a little mean, but you've all had those times where like you gave a guy a chance and he really wasn't that great, but you were like, I haven't been on a date in 3 years, I'll give this guy a chance. Or, people tell me that I'm, too picky, so I'm going to give this guy, for whatever reason, you give a guy a chance who really isn't someone who's like all that. And then next thing you know, he's like being a jerk and he's like not returning your calls and like he's acting all uppity about it. Have you ever wondered like why that is? There is a principle that was supposedly recently discovered. I quibble with that, but basically there is a principle in psychology called the Dunning-Kruger effect, and it was discovered, heavy air quotes, in 1999. Two Cornell psychologists named it. Their names were David Dunning and Justin Kruger, and they identified a cognitive bias, whereas those who are incompetent tend to be not only unaware of their incompetence, but also quite assured of their supposed competence. And then on the flip side, the people who were competent didn't really trust their competence. So this is kind of ironic. This is nothing new. Bertrand Russell pointed this out he died in 1970, like a good, 30 years before these guys discovered this. And he said, the trouble with the world is that the stupid are confident and the intelligent are full of doubt. And that is kind of explaining this. And so I'm just going to briefly, when I read about this, I immediately thought of dating. And I do think it is quite the case that men who don't have much experience dating tend to be the most opinionated and the most arrogant and the most sure of themselves about how attractive they are to women, and they know how to make a woman happy and this and that. And if you're not happy with them, well, something must be wrong with you. So I just wanted to make kind of a quick video kind of pointing that out, that this actually is a quirk of human nature, that people who don't really know much about something do tend to underestimate how much that goes into it and what it really takes. And because they are not, familiar with the subject, by definition, they're not familiar with what it takes to be a master of that subject. And, conversely, those who know that they don't know. When you are intelligent, you understand something, you do, when you have an idea of just how much knowledge there is about something, you also have an idea of how much you don't know. And so I just wanted to talk about how that affects dating. And that is why, men, sometimes you'll date a guy who isn't really that attractive, and so you kind of know he doesn't have much experience, but he's quite sure of himself. And I guess he doesn't need experience. Who knows? But anyways, I just wanted to talk about that real quick. It's kind of a random video. And so yeah, food for thought. If you're ever on a date and, some guy who clearly is not all that, but he's like super sure of himself, just think of this principle. It's not you, it's him. So there is that. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave a comment. If this is entertaining or interesting to you, feel free to subscribe, hit the bell, and it'll notify you of new videos. So that's all. See you next time.